calls on whether it's... Here we go. It's another example. Is it OK... You drop your kids off at nursery and the nursery workers put them on a screen? 0207 862 2222. Tell us what you think. And I'm asking this because the nursery in West Belfast has sparked the debate after saying they do let children aged 3 and 4 regularly have access to screen time. They're not the only ones who do it. The nursery staff believe using tablets enhances children's learning and helps kids to thrive. They say they don't sit children down to watch kids' shows, but instead they give them engaging activities to do on interactive whiteboards set up on the tablets. Many different nurseries pride themselves on being a screen-free environment, and the World Health Organization recommends children under 5 spend no more than 1 hour a day looking at a screen. What about you, Mike? If you had kids yourself, do you think you would have been worried by this?
No, I'd have been very happy about it. I think you've got to stimulate children's brains from a very early age. So isn't this just really an electronic version of an abacus? Isn't it an electronic version of Lego or building blocks, putting them together? And I think if you can get the information to a child's brain more quickly than having to spend an hour showing them how to put Lego together, I think it's a very good thing. Now, where I do draw the line is anybody taking an electronic device into an examination to help them answer the questions on their examination paper. But this, I'm all in favour of.
Well, it's... When you say children's brains need to be stimulated... You raise this odd sort of scenario of a child basically sitting around like that until someone puts a sort of electric volt. That's not how it works, Mike. No. Boredom makes us creative.
No.
Stimulation.
If a child is looking at a screen and that screen is moving and things are changing, that stimulates a child's brain. That's very good for it. I'm not trying to...
Yasmin is old school here.
Not just old school. The WHO, many child psychologists, you see them, parents in restaurants. Kids have their phones and it's like this. I think it's a really terrible thing for very young children whose brains are forming, where they need to be talked to by teachers.
But that's out of school, Yasmin, if you don't mind me saying. In a restaurant is out of school. I'm talking about the learning process. It's good for the...
So what happened? How did our kids learn and absorb information before this ridiculous idea? It's a laziness in a nursery. They're being lazy. They're using machines instead of using their own skills.
Baby. Oh, see, look at this this picture here, Mike. Now, what can we say about these kids who are on those phones that young? The first thing is we know that eyesight is affected if you can't see long distances. So children on phones all the time can't see to the end of the football
I'm not saying that. I'm saying a big screen, right, on your desk in a nursery, look at, and if that screen is saying 1 times 6 is 6, 2 times 6 is 12, 3 times 6 is 18, that's a learning process.
OK, so it's just a whiteboard then, Yasmin? Effectively, it's a whiteboard.
I'm sorry. How did we all our children, our grandchildren, learn all of this without these wretched machines? There's an age, and everybody is saying now, don't introduce your children to the screen too young. It's bad for them. It's bad for their mental development, for relationships. These 3 kids are looking like that.
But what's interesting about Mike is he's taking what is effectively a very modern view on this, which is that actually we use these tools to learn.
Yeah, I mean, look, instead of having...
No, we don't need these tools.
We don't go hunting, shooting and fishing anymore.
What I'm saying is, outside of school, I agree, every parent should regulate the amount of time a child spends on screen. But in a classroom, you've either got a teacher up there telling you that the Battle of Trafalgar, is in 1815 and telling you all about it, or the child can be reading that on the screen with illustrations of battleships, with profiles of Lord Nelson. I think it's very advantageous.
I have been to nurseries and primary schools and seen wonderful teaching taking place. Absolutely involving those kids.
Very limited.
No, it's not limited. It's not limited.
Because it's human interaction, though.
But it's limited.
I'm sorry, you cannot suggest that this is the best way forward for young children who are developing their brains. We know brains are being negatively developed and affected by too much screen time. This is laziness. That's all it is.
I don't think so.
No. All right, well, we love your calls on this 0207 862 2222. I'll tell you something that's happened this morning. We had to illustrate this item, we had a very realistic, small tot baby It's been stolen. Literally between me. Who takes something like that?
I don't know.
Stolen in the office. They can't find it.
You mean a model baby?
A model baby to illustrate this item.
No.
Being taken.
No.
What's going on? Yeah.
No,
Extraordinary.
that can't be right.
I don't know.
Sounds
I
a
don't
bit
know
sinister.
It was on my desk this morning. It's due to be in the studio, being stolen.
Sounds like an Australian soap opera of a woman who's been desperate to have a child for 20 years.
That's what I
and
think.
then suddenly walked in and found it.
Well,
and away with it.
I don't want to be casting any aspersions. I don't know anybody like that, but we will have, there will be a full inquiry. Jeanette is in Hertfordshire. Hello.
Hello, Jeremy. It's me again. How are you?
Oh, it's lovely to hear your voice. How are you doing? I'm well, thank you.
I'm very well, thank you. I've had to put my puppy in the other room because she's going crazy. I agree absolutely with the lady on the panel. My niece actually is a manager at a nursery, and they are very much into interacting with the children. They have painting competitions, construction toys. They have art. They live next door to an animal rescue farm, so they interact with the animals. They also have a little gardening place where the children can plant seeds. And she would be horrified, Jeremy, by this.
Well, but Mike is giving us the idea of the tablet as a tool. I'm trying to help. So what he's not saying is these 4-year-olds are sitting around watching early Bond films.
Absolutely right.
That's not what you're suggesting
Absolutely.
here.
Jeanette, I just think it's a shortcut to imparting more information, more knowledge into a child's head much more quickly. And we've got to keep up with the times. Instead of that teacher, and I'm sure they're great teachers with the building blocks and pointing out the window, look, there's a little lamb gambling in the field next door. You can get all that in a tenth of the time on a screen.
Go on, Jeanette, what about that? Everything that you can see through a window, you can see on a screen.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, I always agree with everything you say normally, but not on this occasion. Can I say to stroke animals that have been rescued in a little farm, to me, would be much more educational than looking at a screen. And what are the nursery nurses doing at this time? Are they having a coffee break?
I
Should they
wonder
be
that.
interacting with the children?
Yeah. I tell you what helps your argument a little bit, Jeanette, is that there was an announcement by surgeons recently that when they get new recruits in to learn surgery, they're finding that these 25-year-olds haven't got the manual dexterity to sew. And they're having to bring in, essentially, sorry for the caricature, but little old ladies from knitting clubs to teach them how to use their fingers.
What, to sew up a human
They
body?
haven't used their fingers very much because they've been on your
But they
screen.
use them in a particular way.
Well, you know, if you watch Gen Z ringing a doorbell, they ring it now with their thumb. They don't do like that back in the olden days. They now push a doorbell like that because it's basically a two-thumb existence that they're in.
Yeah.
They don't. Some of them don't even know what they're for.
Yeah. But these teachers you're talking about, these nursery teachers, they're not going off on a coffee break. They'll be walking around the class and each child will say, hello, miss, or hello, sir, can you explain this to me? Pointing it onto the screen. I don't understand paragraph 3. Where was the Battle of Waterloo? I mean, I think it's great.
All right, they were nursery. I don't know if they do Waterloo in nursery. I don't know. Jeanette, thank you. And your puppy was so well behaved today. Alison in Dundee, hello.
Hello.
What do you think about tablets in nurseries?
Well, as I said to the person I spoke to, there's a time and a place for nurseries, for tablets in nursery and throughout school. But what I saw when I was a teacher, a head teacher.
Okay.
But what we're seeing increasingly is children coming into nursery and picking up a book, a picture book, and swiping the book because they don't know how to use a picture book.
I've heard that.
They think it's a tablet.
I've heard that, and I know. I don't know. It just makes you want to cry. It's the end of the world, basically, isn't it? If books...
As we knew it.
As we knew it. Maybe the new world will be okay, but once everything is swipeable... I can see where I'm not blaming them. I mean, that's it. I've said this before, but I said to my kids, look, if you can stay off screens, you're going to be part of a master race.
Yeah, but again, those children should be taught how to read books at home. Don't their parents read books?
You're absolutely right.
Don't the parents read books to them at night?
No, is the answer. Thank you, Alison. Later, it's the papers and everything else will be...